It was so bad that I can recount a moment where I had just been blessed with a child, my first child. And I remember that I was only about 3 to 5 minutes away from the nearest hospital where my child was born. And I'm going to be right back. I'm going to take about, I'm going to go home and shower. It's been a long 2, 3, 4 days of, going through the process. I remember going home, driving home down that street 2 or 3 minutes away, no, not far at all, going home to my house, walking through the door, having the biggest panic attack you could ever imagine. How many panic attacks are we going to allow before we start treating eustachian tube dysfunction as a serious, legitimate condition? I have gotten messages from so many of you saying, look, I just can't find the right help. I'm not getting the right resources. And even worse, you're being turned on to things that honestly are not going to help at all. I had a situation where I visited a doctor, and I will say the name of the facility. It was Boz Allergy, because like many of you, um, you are first getting these symptoms, these weird symptoms, and you're starting to think, maybe I really do have an allergy problem. So you start going that route. You start assuming maybe, okay, allergy problem, no big deal. So you prolong it a little while longer because, allergies, as long as you can breathe, as long as you can function, you can probably get through that. But when you realize that that so apparent allergy is not going away, you go and see someone. So I went to a place called Boz Allergy. I don't know where it's located. I don't know if it's I haven't really done any research since I've been since I had ETD. But when I had ETD, I went into a facility called Boz Allergy. I saw a physician. Don't even remember the name now of that physician. Um, and he simply was going through the normal. Hey, how's your health? What do you do? Do you eat dairy? Do you do this? Do you do that? We went through the whole spill. And after about 5 minutes of me telling my story about what I'm facing here with this eustachian tube dysfunction, it was simply concluded by, you should probably consider leaving where you live. You should find a new place to live, start a new life. Are you married? Do you have children? Start a new life, because maybe where you live is not the best place for you to live. That question, I was so taken back by that question that I just simply say, you know what? I'll consider it. And I left. And not many people have that kind of flexibility where you could simply just say, okay, I have issues with my health, allergies, sinus problems, jaw problems, whatever the problems it might be. I'm just going to pack my whole family up and just move across the country. Or how about this, even further? I'll move out of the country. When I got that kind of message back, I was just really just disappointed, because although right now, I'm saying it in a very lighthearted manner, you all are out there are just piggybacking from the next facility, trying to just get some help. And I think a lot of you can agree that you're not trying to necessarily find the exact answer right then and there, although that would be very beneficial. It would be very heart touching to be able to have that answer to your problems, that buzzing sounds, those ringing sounds. It would be awesome to have the solution right then and there at the visit. But I think a lot of you are pretty open minded and pretty well equipped to understand the human body does not work that way. But you're just willing to take something back home with you, to take that home, to try if this is going to work, is this is going to help me. And I think a lot of you are just shocked by the very little information you're getting back, and this really just repulses me, because when I got that information, I was at a level of desperation. But yeah, but at the same time, I was at a level of I was actually at a level where I had a very thick security net. Basically, what that means is that I was struggling for so long that um, I wasn't really letting it, tug at my emotions, and I wasn't really letting whatever this visit was going to be. I wasn't going to let it just control how I felt after I left this place, because at that point I was very seasoned with this condition. very seasoned of what I might feel. I almost tracked how I was feeling with this condition so in depth that I could almost predict my every symptom, every mood, uh, all the way down to my every footstep of every place I go to and travel to and visit it. That I know I would feel this way or feel that way, and knew exactly what was causing this versus that, and how to remedy it a little bit, but of course not to completely give it get rid of it. And I think a lot of you are at the point where you're not seasoned yet, and some of you really are. I actually received a message today about a person that has been going through this condition for 30 years and is not letting up. And I just don't understand why we're being so misled. A lot of you are being so misled, this whole thing's being miscalculated. The whole thing. Like the story I told you, going into a really well respected facility, and it's not to put down the facility in any way, but to tell you what my personal experience was of the facility. I didn't leave any one-star reviews, I could tell you that. But just to simply get that kind of information back from someone that's been trained, trained doctor, and the field of being able to kind of further assist with something like this, it's just to be able to get an answer like that and for it to just be that way, and you just have to kind of live life after the fact. It's just completely heinous. It's ridiculous. And so I really want a lot of you right now that are watching this video and you're thinking that you're all alone. You're thinking that this thing will never go away. These are the questions that I know. I curated a bunch of questions, or statements rather, uh, of this condition, and I can tell you probably 5 to 10 really strong, powerful statements that a lot of you use to emphasize what you're going through. Some of those statements are: "This thing will never go away." How come there's no relief? How come no one can help me? That's a question, but these statements and questions come through all the time, and I know a lot of you are desperate and trying to find help. And what's amazing is a lot of you are also becoming advocates yourself, and you're not even fully out of the woods yet. And I think that's what this condition does. It makes you want to advocate for it because it's so miscalculated. It's really so misunderstood by the highest level of individuals. Whenever the highest level of individuals can hit the target right, it makes you feel at such a very it makes you feel like you need to do something about it. You need to step up. You need to push this a little further. You need to be a big, huge influence to all of those and all of you out there that are struggling. And like I said, how many panic attacks is it going to take? I could tell you I had 2 or 3 different situations where I just didn't think I was going to be here to be able to speak to you all right now. It was so bad that I can recount a moment where I had just been blessed with a child, my first child. And I remember that I was only about 3 to 5 minutes away from the nearest hospital where my child was born. Blessed enough to be able to, after the situation of having my child born, I just recall that after it was all said and done, I was getting so many symptoms in the labor room there. Uh, Thankful to the strength of my wife going through all of that, but just going through that episode of the labor and the anxieties that come with that already from a new parent. I knew there was more than just the jitters of parenting that I was feeling. It was more that I was walking in there with ETD already, and I tried my absolute best. And actually, no one knew I had anything uh, going on with me. No one, not a single soul knew. Once my child was born, I recall that he was, my son was placed in, he's getting all the necessary post, work done, the cleaning and the temperature checks and wrapping him up. All that stuff's going on. Nurses, thankful to nurses and doctors. I remember standing there at that point because I'm like, okay, well, now I'm in the waiting zone, just kind of looking over at that clear tub, watching him get his after cleaning and things like that. And I just remember I'm sitting there just feeling like I am a new father now. I can't have this go on like this. I can't be in this state of mind while I'm dealing with this new discovery of life. This is a huge undertaking of life. This is a huge blessing of life. I can't imagine all of you. going through your life changes, but that was my life change. So kind of fast forward a little bit. He's all good now. Our child is placed into his mother's arms, and I'm kind of leaning there, getting my glimpse and taking in the moment. Then I get my moment of time there as a father. And then after all of that settled, my child fell asleep, placed him back down in his bed. Wife decided to take a nap. I said, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to take about, I'm going to go home and shower. It's been a long 2, 3, 4 days of, going through the process. I remember going home, driving home down that street 2 or 3 minutes away, no, not far at all, going home to my house, walking through the door, having the biggest panic attack you could ever imagine. And I was at home. I had just done my duty of the dad, husband. I did my part. It's like my body was like, okay, you need to, I wanted to get through this. I was like, I'm going to get through I'm going to be strong for these episodes, for these moments, this episode, this thing. Once I got home, reality hit me. I was going through the worst experience with this attack, running around my house, looking for something, didn't know what I was looking for. I was searching around, moving stuff off countertops, looking around through drawers, pulling drawers in and out, looking around the bathroom, ran up to the stairs, looked in the bathroom, looked for something, didn't know what I was looking for. I started turning the water on. The water was running. I had both sinks running with water, my sink, my wife's sink, and I was just kind of just didn't know what was going on. And I was like, this isn't like me. I've never had one of these before, like to this level. What I did is I started to tap in year one of dealing with ETD. So I said, okay, I don't know what this is. I hope I'm going to be okay, though. I kept my phone near me. I said, all right, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure I hydrate because, I probably didn't drink as much. So I started going through the basic things first. Didn't want to panic myself. I was like, maybe if I just hydrate, might feel a little better. So I started hydrating, started drinking drinking my water. Then I was like, okay, I still feel weird, still feel jittery, still feel uneasy. Like right now, just playing all of you through it again. I can embody the feeling again. So after I did that, I lay down. I tried to just think of what just happened here. I just had a great experience, and I'm drinking my water still. So then I was like, okay, I'm leaning too flat now. So I put the pillow up against my back so I could lean at a more of an angle. So I started laying like that. Then I got back up. I said, okay, this is not comfortable. Turned the fan on. I let the fan blow in my face a little bit longer. And I just like, okay, I'm gonna put the fan in my face. Did that. And then there was this one thing that I was like, okay, I'm still feeling weird. Don't know what this is. I'm hydrating. And then I remember I said, well, what else could it be? So then I remember I had this beet juice in my refrigerator. And I'm not saying that beet juice is what cured everything or this is the reason why. I just remember, okay, I'm going to go to my fridge. I'm going to grab that beet juice. I know it has good circulation. I know it has good benefits, but hey, I'm going to go downstairs. I'm going to go get that beet juice. So I go down, leave my room. I go downstairs. I run. I go and I start sipping on beet juice. And I was like, I hope this helps me because right now I'm pretty desperate. So I start sipping that beet juice. And after about 15 minutes or so, I don't know what it was. I just started feeling a little at calm, a little at ease. And then I drink a little water, more beet juice, drink a little water. And then I laid back down. I was like, okay, now I have the courage enough to lay back down. You know, you're going through something when it takes courage to lay down. So I had enough courage now that I would lay down. So I laid down. And after about another 10 minutes or so, everything started to align again. My safety net started to relax. My anticipation feeling started to relax. My heart level started to come down. I had at the time I had a fitness watch, and I still have one today. And yeah, let me just make sure we're good. So what I'm telling all of you is a lot of you are going through a lot of life changes too, like that, and that was very concerning for sure. So after I calmed down, I went back to the hospital, took my shower. I was good enough to take a shower because that was the other thing. I was like, if I get in the shower and get vulnerable and then something happens and I'm like, oh, I don't want to be in that vulnerable position. So I had delayed my shower until I felt better because you don't want to pass out or something in the shower. That's one of the worst ways you can didn't even experience that. So I had just I let that go. But once I got got the elevation out of the moment out of the way, I took my shower, got out, got dressed, shot right back to the hospital, and joined my new family. And but this is why I've advocated for this condition for so long, and will continue to, even if I don't even if I don't always find the answer for everyone. The fact that I feel like I'm disconnected, this locked in with all of you out there, and will can remain locked in, because these moments are tied into life changes. As a child being born, they're associated now for life. Even if I wanted to forget about that, I can't, because it was the same day my child was born. So if I ever look at the calendar and say, when's the last time I had the worst ever this or worst ever that, I have an exact date for that occurrence. And a lot of you are the same way. You are trying to get married, you're trying to have children yourself, you're trying to improve in your employment, you're trying to start a family, not even just having child, but trying to get married, and all the other things that all the other things that are very important. And not even just that, sometimes you're not having any life changes, and you're just trying to live life, in its entirety. You're just trying to just live life basically, and it's robbing you of it. The one thing, and the most prevalent thing that I can tell all of you out there is, if you could do your absolute best that you don't give this thing superiority over you, meaning that whatever you feel ETD related wise, don't think that ETD condition or diagnosis is going to upscale. It will give you symptoms. You will get more symptoms, longer symptoms, probably even more lengthier symptoms in terms of time and how long they take to go away. But what I'm saying is, don't let that condition think it's going to move from extreme level one to chronic to possibly ending this beautiful life you live, because that's what I thought for many years. I was like, oh, this is definitely not going to end very well. And I told myself, sitting in the emergency room, I said, if I ever get through this, and I said it with a little doubt. I wish I could have gone back and not said it that way. I wish I could have said it when I get through with this. But at the time, I spoken to myself with a little bit of vulnerability, but a little bit of uncertainty about the whole thing. I said, if I get through this, I'm going to devote most of my time helping others get through it as well. And I think a lot of you can see the relevance in this channel. You can see the relevance in my ability to contain the message, the devotion. And I think a lot of you are very great people out there that are so educated now with your body. This condition do have some pros. The pros are, you're going to learn a lot about medication. You're going to learn a lot about uh, uh, natural things, herbs. You're going to learn about things that are just on a natural scale. So not just like how the body mechanic works, how the medication works, how you should incorporate certain herbs with certain format. So basically, I learned during the course of time, I learned that when you take certain, um, you take certain things that, like for example, let me give you an example, like turmeric. Oh, I used to just take turmeric, but when I had ETD, I did more research, and I learned that turmeric is better well digested. It better well sits in the body longer if you can combine it with curcumin. If you can combine it with a little bit of pepperine, and you put a little bit, and it's fat soluble. So if you combine it a little bit with some fat, milk, put it in milk, drink it down, it's going to further go through the body. It's going to digest better, and it's going to do more good for you. And these are little things that you wouldn't think you would research, because you didn't have anything to research about. Of course, we all want to be healthy. We all want to live longer. We all want to do the best we can for ourselves. But this condition makes you so sharp at learning the anatomy too. I learned all the anatomy. I learned the things that control the inner ear, the things that prevent the ear from doing this and doing that, and air pressure, how it goes through the ear, how it interlocks with the middle ear, and how excess fluid gets trapped, and how important the tensor tympani is to regulating sound and ear pressure. These are all things that I would never spend time doing if I hadn't gone through eustachian tube dysfunction. And I think a lot of you might not be ready or wanting to teach about any of this stuff or even talk about it for the matter. You're trying to simply get better. But the pros are, while you're getting better, you're going to actually realize you become healthier, you become more aware of your body, and you become keen to things that don't do your body justice. And you're going to eliminate the things that don't move the needle for you in the forward position. So if I could just conclude with anything that I learned from having ETD, was that I became a better educator, I became more aware of myself, and I became, most importantly, you become less worried and panicky when your body is going through an upgrade, or it's changing, or it's feeling a little off for that day. You learn to just pace yourself and manage yourself because you've been through it already. You've experienced it before. Many You've experienced your body going through a weird episode as what I just described to you, to the point where that can roll over to many conditions that a person goes through. And I've learned to settle myself, not get too high, not get too low. Be aware, but to not panic. When you go through things like that, you go through the disappointment of doctors' news, and or the lack of what doctors give you, you turn into a person that says, I'm going to do the best I can, but I'm not going to expect a whole lot from anybody, and I'm going to put a lot of that in the hands of myself. And if you believe in a higher power as I do, you're going to put your hands up and believe that there are more there, there's more security than you actually think, and that just the people you are on earth with isn't where it lays and isn't where it stays. You have higher power within you that lives within you. Stop searching all over the place looking for something that's already there, because a lot of times what you need to heal is already from within you. Now, I know I said the beet juice helped me, but was it really the beet juice, or was it me realizing that I have it inside? The beet juice was just a reminder, and it put my brain into a hopeful state, thinking that if I just drink this, I'll start feeling better. But let's just say that it wasn't anything to do with the beet juice. It was simply just me saying, it may do better. I might get out of this. I will get out of this. Now that I have this, I'll get out of this. Those are all the things that you should tell yourself when you're in that state of being, in a state of mind. And you'll realize that just simply changing the mind and not selecting out of the worst case scenario, out of the quantum physics of the world, stop selecting the worst case scenario. If you can do those things, a lot of you out there that are dealing with this can find healing just on the other side. I hope this video was very helpful for you. If it was, please take time to subscribe to the channel. I try to bring content as often as possible. But in the meantime, I'm going to step out of the Jaye Wellness Studio and leave you in good hands with this video. Like anything else, folks, we're here to simply go back to the basics. Take care, everybody, and I will catch you on the next video.